London, 1888. A city of fog, gas lamps, and shadows. The British Empire stood at its peak, yet within the crowded slums of East London, life was harsh, dirty, and dangerous. In the district of Whitechapel, poverty ruled the streets, crime was rampant, and the most vulnerable were women struggling to survive. It was here, in this dark corner of Victorian London, that history's most infamous killer struck. A man who came to be known as Jack the Ripper. Between August and November of 1888, a series of brutal murders shocked the world. The victims were women, all living on the margins of society. They were attacked at night, their throats cut with surgical precision, and their bodies mutilated in ways too gruesome for the newspapers of the time to fully describe. The brutality was unlike anything the police had ever faced. The first widely recognized victim was Mary Ann Nichols, discovered on the morning of August 31st. Only days later, Annie Chapman was found murdered in similar fashion. The killings seemed to follow a pattern, and fear spread quickly through Whitechapel. Women were afraid to walk the streets at night, and newspapers filled their front pages with the gruesome details. Then came the double event. On September 30th, two victims, Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes, were killed on the same night. The precision, the timing, and the violence suggested a killer who was confident, skilled, and fearless. By now, London was in a state of panic. The killer seemed unstoppable, slipping away into the shadows after each murder. But it was the murder of Mary Jane Kelly on November 9th that horrified the city most. Unlike the earlier victims who were found on the streets, Kelly was killed inside her own room. The brutality of her mutilation was beyond anything even seasoned detectives could comprehend. It marked the climax of the Ripper's reign of terror. What made Jack the Ripper so terrifying was not just his crimes, but the mystery surrounding him. He was never seen clearly, never identified. After each murder, he vanished into the fog of Whitechapel, leaving behind only fear and questions. The press gave him his name after a taunting letter was sent to the police, signed Jack the Ripper. Whether the letter was real or a hoax is still debated, but the name stuck, and the legend was born. The police received hundreds of tips and interviewed countless suspects, but the investigation was plagued with problems. Victorian forensics were primitive. There were no fingerprints, no DNA testing, and no reliable eyewitnesses. The killer seemed always one step ahead. Over the years, dozens of suspects have been suggested, from butchers and doctors to artists and even members of the royal family. Some believe the killer was a surgeon, given the precision of the wounds. Others argue he was a local resident, blending easily into the streets of Whitechapel.
What has happened?
But despite endless theories, no conclusive evidence has ever emerged. The mystery of Jack the Ripper continues to fascinate because it was never solved. Unlike other killers who are eventually caught, the Ripper simply disappeared. After November 1888, the murders suddenly stopped. Was he imprisoned for another crime? Did he flee London? Or did he die taking his secret with him to the grave? For more than 130 years, historians, detectives, and amateur sleuths have tried to uncover his identity. Books, films, and documentaries have kept the case alive, each proposing new suspects and new evidence. And yet, the truth remains hidden in the fog of history. Jack the Ripper was more than a murderer. He became a symbol of fear, of the darkness that lurks within cities, and of the limitations of justice in the Victorian age. His crimes shocked not only London but the entire world, and they continue to haunt our imagination today. The Whitechapel murders remind us that sometimes history's greatest mysteries remain unsolved. Jack the Ripper's true identity may never be known, but his shadow still lingers in the streets of London, a chilling reminder of a killer who struck with precision, disappeared without a trace, and left behind one of the most enduring mysteries of all time.